Journal Entry 1. Today, I am drawing and just catching up with life as of May 11th, 2020. I figured it would be a fun thing to do, to be able to just take some time and sort of start recording, just the life events and those types of things. So instead of starting what is obviously on my mind every time I think of this year so far, I think I'll just start with the subject of drawing, and this drawing in particular. So this drawing here, obviously, as you can see, is going to be a culmination. Sort of like photo bashing, if you are familiar at all with digital art. That's pretty much where we're going to take one drawing and sort of mix it into another drawing. And this personally is one of my favorite things to do. It's a lot of fun where we're able to really take the inspiration, from other artists, or in this case, a model as well as another artist, and put it into two separate things, or make it one new thing. And that for me is a lot of fun, because you are really allowing yourself to be inspired by the other artists, and then using your talent to make something into that to make a completely new thing. And that for me, it's a ton of fun. I apologize for any of the weird lighting. That for me is, I'm still getting used to how to record and all that. Anyway, so yeah, I love drawing, and if you know me personally, if you're a friend or a family, you probably already know this, because I have it all over my Instagram, and I just try to draw as much as possible. I don't draw enough, but yeah. And I could go on for hours about why everyone should learn to draw, but that's a story for another time. So this year in this beginning stage, I am just pretty much laying out, okay, where is our body going to be? Where is our person going to be? And if you see me doing weird things with my hands, like waving in the air, that is because I am trying to get the positioning right on the paper. Compared to where I had it, I essentially moved it because the original photo was in a different spot. But yeah, and as you go on, you're gonna see that I go from drawing with pencil, and then later on inking it in with a pen, just a regular ink pen. I don't know the company, but a friend gave it to me, so. Yeah, and then after that, we're going to get rid of all the pencil now, because the pencil is really being used to sort of outline everything. And so I know that everything looks okay and that the shapes are good. And then we'll use pen, and that'll be very permanent. At that point, I've decided, okay, everything here works. Everything makes sense. So then after pen, we'll go with Copics, as you can see, which are some of the best markers you can get. But those are some of my favorites to use when I'm not doing digital art. So, yeah. So next I wanted to talk about this is journal entry 1, so I wanted to just catch up on life, catch up on what's been going on. So, obviously, the elephant in the room is this entire virus and the COVID-19, which has changed everybody's lives pretty drastically over the past couple months that we've been experiencing it. Here in America right now, where I am, things are still pretty crazy. I mean, probably not, I wouldn't say as crazy. New York is really experiencing it the worst, it sounds like. New York and California. But it's just wild. It's crazy because there's all these different parts to life that we never really thought about until recently. And of course you see all the memes on the internet being like, oh wow, yeah, I'm going to be able to tell my kids, I lived through a pandemic, so you better pull it together, which I find very funny, and I'm probably will fall guilty of that, not going to lie. But yeah, I just sort of wanted to record these videos because I have the ability to do it. You know what I mean? It was funny. I was talking with one of my cousins the other day who just recently, he started his YouTube channel. And it's just an interesting thing because people don't treat YouTube like a social media, even though that's what it is. It's a social media. But I guess maybe the platform hasn't gotten as easily accessible, or maybe it's because we see so many professionals on YouTube, and so we don't think, we're like, oh, well, that's a lot of dedication to something. That's a place where we're going to, only put our professional work. So we're not going to just make our own channels, like the same way we make our Instagram accounts or our Snapchats. Which I don't necessarily think is correct. I watched a video the other day. I don't remember who by, but he was essentially trying to inspire everybody and said that every single person should create a YouTube channel. And I thought that was really cool. He had a really good argument for why everyone should have a YouTube channel. And he was, explaining that a YouTube channel allows you to put yourself out there in the world more so than some social medias. And it's a great platform for, saying, hey, these are the projects I want to work on. These are my goals, these are things I want to do. And that way other people who are also interested in that can find you. And I think that really hit close to home for me. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I have recently especially been really big on that, trying to find friends and people who are very like-minded, who want to do similar things. I am, as you can see, I love art. I'm big on art, and I love all types of art. For me especially, I really want to hopefully get into digital art more. I've been sketching my entire life, recently been getting into ink, but yeah, no, digital art is definitely a goal for me. But the vision I see also is, I would love to have a group of artists one day and be able to, go around the world making art, and inspiring each other. So I think it's a mixture of all of that. Is, that's one of the reasons, the mixture of reasons I wanted to start this YouTube channel. So this is me finally starting it, after pushing it off for probably a year, maybe a year and a half. But yeah, no, it's very interesting because it's always been it's been a struggle for me, because I made videos quite easily back in 2019 and 2018 in my school, which I should just tell you now was a cyber school, so it's a little different. Although it seems the entire world is now going to be experiencing cyber school, all their college classes online and everything like that. But yeah, I don't know. I would really try to, I guess, inspire you to start your own YouTube channel as well. Anyone who, watches. I've been trying to tell all my friends, like, yeah, we should all start YouTube channels. This is the time. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think it could be a really good thing. This virus has just been really detrimental to a lot of people, really hard for some people. And it's sort of crazy. I was just talking, with my family, and like, for us personally, if you look at from the outside, like, our life has not changed that much. You know what I mean? We live out in the countryside, sort of. We are not in the city. So for us, things are pretty normal. So the weird thing is that it's still affected us, and the way that it's affected us is less of like, oh, we can't actually go to the places we usually go to, because that's not true. The places we go to are open spaces, are, parks and farms, so that hasn't really changed. But just the feeling of, oh, everything's shut down, oh, people are not able to go anywhere, like, oh, the world is no longer working the way it used to. Just that feeling has sort of made us feel that as well, even though we technically our day-to-day lives hasn't changed that much. It's really weird. One thing I will say is that we are used to visiting Starbucks every once in a while, and of course that that is one thing that, like, okay, we can't go to Starbucks anymore. But it's a weird thing. It's just the fact that it's actually less of the physical and more of just the mental, just more of knowing, right? It's like when people come here, it's like, we all have to wear masks. When we go out, we all have to wear masks, and it's because of this virus, and that virus is affecting everybody, and all that. It's just crazy to think about, really crazy to think about. So I think that's the other reason, I wanted to document this. If my kids are watching by any chance sometime in the future, which they probably will be watching, I plan on showing them all these. Yeah, it's just wanted to document it and show them, like, yeah, this is what it was like to go through something like this. And of course, I was watching some TED Talks and stuff, and they say that with the way our society's going, that's just going to continue. Is we're going to keep having different disasters, different diseases and stuff. And in fact, more of them due to, how we're living, the more people we have on Earth, and the more just different types of stuff we're doing all around the world. So, yeah, real quick, as you can see here, this is where I'm inking it in now. And then as soon as everything's inked in, then we can actually erase all the pencil. I do just pencil sketches as well, a lot. But for this one specifically, I wanted to go all out and do ink and then do Copic coloring. So, yeah. One of the things that I would try to encourage you on is just to stay positive and try to find a lot of new things to learn and do during this time. And of course, I know everyone is pushing that, but it really is just the most one of the most important things, I think, during this time. And I've been trying to keep busy, and obviously starting this YouTube channel is one of those things, because I've always wanted a YouTube channel, and I was like, well, this is the time to do that. This is the time to learn how to do it. And it is much easier than you think. Trust me. I have learned that we work ourselves up about it, but really it's not that hard. And there's not really any reason to be afraid of starting a channel, because it's really not much different from any other social media. You're putting yourself out there, you're saying, hey, this is me, this is the stuff that I do, this is what I create, which, we do that on Snapchat, we do that on Instagram. So I think it's a great outlet that we could work on. I personally was pretty disappointed when the whole virus started and shut everything down. And that is mostly because I had a trip planned, actually. I am supposed to be in Japan right now. I was supposed to be in Japan for 3 months. But it seems like this 3 months are going to be some of the most important for staying inside and, trying to not get the virus. So, of course, my trip got postponed. That was supposed to, I believe, happen back in April 19th. Is when I was supposed to go. But, yeah, as you guys will learn, and I will talk much of in this channel due to it being my personal channel, my mother is Japanese, so that's why I'm what they call hafu. My dad is African American, hence the name Blasian, which is like black and Asian, Blasian, yeah. So, yeah, but I would just try to encourage you to really, really try to just take this time, because this has never happened before in our lifetime. I mean, I know this virus has happened before, but this has never happened in our lifetime before, where everyone's slowed down. Everyone is able to take a lot of time and do what they want, which means for the people who think they can't draw or have never been able to draw before, now's your chance. Now is totally your chance to get that head start where you can literally draw every single day, probably without interruptions for a good 2 or 3 hours. So definitely take that time. I mean, I talk to so many people who, they think drawing is like a talent. Drawing is just something that oh yeah, no, you're born with it. And I'm like, okay, that's it's not really true. I mean, some people, I'm sure, are really, really good at it. But I know for me, personally, I did not start off good at all. If you look at some of my stuff, I was homeschooled my entire life. So my dad had us draw. It was like a mandatory class, of course, and I hated it. I found it really boring at times. But as I got better at it, then like I love it. I love drawing now so much. Drawing is one of the most important things for me. And while we're at it, we might as well talk about some reasons that you would learn drawing. And the reason I focus on drawing is not just because this video has a drawing in it. No, it's more actually just because drawing itself, sketching, drawing, that ability is the basis for most art, for a ton of art. Like, yeah, I mean, you could start off painting instead of drawing, but to be honest, if you started drawing, you'd probably have a better chance. And one of those reasons is drawing is very forgiving, especially sketching, of course. Before you even get into ink, just think about that for a second. You have the ability to just create right away, and if you don't like it or if it doesn't look too good, you can erase it. That right there that's pretty big, and it's a huge stepping stone. If you can sketch, it'll feed into all areas of your life. So in all areas of your art, almost no matter what art you do. And I think you would be surprised. You would become quite surprised by the different things that you're able to actually draw from being able to sketch. I mean even in dance, right? Which that sounds crazy. Like, how is my performing arts of dance going to improve by me sketching? Well, actually, by sketching, you learn to be able to visualize things. You learn to be able to see something for what it truly is. You'll be able to see things dimensionally, especially, once you start getting better, you start to see things three-dimensionally. And that means that you can imagine what you're going to look like when you're moving through the air, when you're ice skating, when you are running. You are able to visualize, say, okay, what do I look like right now? Unless you're looking in a mirror, you're not going to really know, right? But if you then get to learn the muscle memory and that feel, and of course it sounds like, well, what is someone who draws doing talking about dance? But I personally love dance. I enjoy dance a lot. I never took any professional classes. I did do Zumba back in the day when I was probably 14, something like that. But I still dance. I love to dance. I love to dance all the time. And especially, when I'm listening to music that is from my roots, African music, Japanese taiko drums, those really get me going. And of course, that's going to be a whole nother video, because that gets into some tribal and ancestral root stuff that takes a lot more to explain. But yeah, sketching, I think I would say go for it. Out of all the arts that I would suggest during this time for you to learn, I would say go with sketching. If you don't already sketch, then go for it. Totally go for it. Yeah. And again, this is my personal channel, so I'm hoping that I can make some new connections through this, as well as through the new Instagram page, which I'll leave a link at the bottom. But that new Instagram page is for this channel as well. So, yeah. So as you can see here, I have moved on to Copics now, and just sort of getting in the shading. We're going with black and white. And just in case if some people are sort of confused as to where the mashing comes together, because I didn't show the other picture after the first time, but the photo bash essentially, right, was the anime girls were pandas, I believe. They had pandas. Pandas. They're not furries, no. They had pandas, panda shirt on, as well as that ribbon you can see on the neck. So I took the model's face as much as I could, put that on there, and then sort of, mixed in some inspiration. And that glove with the panda paw on it sort of just came out of nowhere, so that was not planned and that was not a part of the drawing, but it was fitting, so I figured we'd put it in there. But yeah, I guess since this is a drawing, I should introduce myself a little bit more. I am 19 years old. I live in PA, Pennsylvania, in the Americas, and yeah, I've been homeschooled my entire life. Life here is pretty awesome. I love it. I love it here. We live in the countryside. We are surrounded by amazing people. I'm always surprised the town that I live in is full of nice people, really nice people. And my parents own a shop, so I have grown up working since I was like about 6 years old, and so because of that, I've met a ton of really, really cool people, and that's one of my favorite things. So I love meeting new people, and I love meeting especially new artists, because it's so fun to be able to draw with somebody and then you guys are drawing inspiration from each other, which is a whole nother reason you should get into drawing, because that's something that is hard to explain, almost on a spiritual level, right? Like, anyone who's an artist who's listening to this is going to know what I'm talking about, is when you are able to connect, to able to draw inspiration from a person who is, maybe not even doing the same thing. They could be painting, or they could be, they could be doing origami, some other art, which could be very different. And yet, just because you're in the same room as them, or just because you're FaceTiming them and you're drawing, or you're doing something that you enjoy, you're able to draw inspiration from them. You're able to, to the point where sometimes it even affects your drawing, which, some might see that as a bad thing. Some might see it as a really good thing. I think it could be a great thing, depending on, hopefully that was intended. If it's not intended, then, maybe restart, but yeah. But anyway. I think that's mostly it for journal entry 1. I'm trying to think of what else I have, but I guess I should say real quick, I am a drawer, or a sketcher, or just an artist in general, as well as a writer. I have recently been getting into writing, which I will definitely be putting more videos out on the things that I'm writing, as well as the books that I'm reading, because I love books. I love reading books as well as writing books, and some short stories, which I think would be a lot of fun to be able to read and show the world. So, yeah. Thank you so much for listening, and for catching up with me on my personal journal entry on my personal channel. So, yeah. You guys are awesome, and I hope that maybe you were a little inspired and that other people can start drawing. And who knows, maybe someday we can all draw together, or, help each other out with an art project. So, yeah. This is the Blasian Prince signing out for Journal Entry 1. Mata ne.